Welcome back to this week's pod, where we discuss everything wrong with last year's DTM season and how they fumbled the bag so poorly with the newly gained audience. We also have a special guest, Thomas Maxwell, as he battles it out in the Super 2 development series. But before we begin, Sophie, how has life been since last week's pod?
I don't think I'll ever get used to your energetic introductions, and thank you for asking about my week. I have actually had a nice time relaxing at home doing absolutely nothing, which is nice for a change. So I actually looked up some of the topics before joining because I don't want to get totally humiliated, but obviously we're a few episodes in, so I promise I will become more educated as we progress and as my research increases.
So, Sophie, this topic gets me very heated very quickly with last season's DTM series. I also want to say, feel free to interrupt me because I will just keep going on and on and on. With Formula 1's driver Alex Albon and Formula 2's driver Liam Lawson entering DTM as a side series to help them build as drivers, you could say, this Red Bull team partnered up with arguably one of the best GT teams out there, AF Corsa, who complete endurance races like Le Mans 24-hour and GT series across the world.
Sorry, can I just interrupt? What is the Le Mans 24-hour?
A race that goes on for 24 hours where multiple drivers drive for the one team. It's pretty much a major event in motorsport that deserves a whole episode on that too. Back to the story. This new team have the big names and naturally are going to bring many new fans. This is the opportunity to bring DTM back to the spotlight of European racing that it once had. This season starts out with Liam Lawson, the Formula 2 driver, running up with the front runners of the sport with names such as Kelvin van der Linde, who is a major name in GT series racing. It's almost like it's the dream championship wrote in a movie. The underdog from a completely different type of car to the defending DTM series racer.
So what you're saying, for a motorsport fan, this is a dream?
Exactly.
So, are we going for Liam or are we Kelvin fans?
Well, I mean, it's up to you. You choose who you want to go for. I was rooting for Liam because, like many other viewers last year, they pretty much came to watch the races because Liam and Alex were both racing.
Got it. Well, I might go for Kelvin to keep it interesting.
But the season is all... Yeah.
What cars do these people drive?
So there are a few different cars among the many teams, Audi and Mercedes, who are the big manufacturers who have their cars in many teams. And then there is also Ferrari and Lamborghini, who are only with a team each. Ferrari came to the sport with Red Bull to race in the 2021 season. Kelvin is in the Audi and Liam is in the Ferrari.
Ooh, I like Ferrari though.
Okay, back to the season review. The following races at Lausitzring were quiet races for Liam and Kelvin, where other drivers made the name for themselves, and also where Maximilian Gotts entered contention at the top. A couple races down the line at Nürburgring, which is a legendary track in Germany, known across the world, Liam Lawson is directly behind Kelvin coming into the uphill left-hander, and Liam finds the slightest gap on the inside and puts his car there as they approach the corner. Kelvin tries to bully him out of it, but Liam sticks there and ends up colliding with Kelvin into the corner, ruining both their races. Then, post-race, Kelvin tries to put Liam in his place by talking down to him. Just the usual motorsport mind games.
This Kelvin guy seems like a bully. I'm not sure I like him now.
Well, I wouldn't get too annoyed with it. It's just him trying to get into Liam's head.
Is it usually like this?
Probably not this severe, but it definitely happens. I mean, you either do it or play the nice guy and come out second best. I believe a rally driver called Carlos Sainz once said, "Bite or be bitten," which I remember from years ago.
Jeez, all right.
At this point, things start to heat up. These two are definitely not friends, but they still respect each other, still work together on media duties, that kind of thing. Liam builds out a solid gap as they enter the final round at Norisring. Not the final race, because each round weekend has two races. Liam is on 206 points, Kelvin is on 192, and Max is on 180.
That gap is tiny.
Well, you get 25 points for winning, and 18 for second, and 15 for third. It keeps going down, so essentially with a 17-point gap, he could come second for both races and still win the championship. So something dramatic would have to happen for Liam to not win it.
Oh, right. This is getting intense.
First race, Liam qualifies first, so he gets to start in first place, and Kelvin is starting in second. Approaching the first corner, Kelvin deliberately outbrakes himself on the inside, so that way when Liam turns in, he will hit Kelvin's car.
Did they hit?
Not really, but Liam saw it coming and made sure his car slowed down first so he wouldn't get hit. But a car from behind then hit Liam, so you could say yes. At this point, Max gets into the lead and stays there for the remainder. Liam finishes in third and Kelvin finishes in fourth, which means at this point Kelvin needs something dramatic to happen, otherwise Liam will take the championship. Once again, Liam qualifies on pole and Kelvin right beside him. Now, in my opinion, if I was Liam, I would have covered the inside to ensure Kelvin didn't do the same thing. Now, Liam did cover the inside, but not completely, and Kelvin fitted in the gap. So now, same like last round, Kelvin was on the inside of the corner into turn 1.
Do I need to prepare myself for this?
The entire thing makes me so annoyed. Kelvin hops over the inside curb and literally plows into the side of Liam, which bent Liam's steering and pushed him into the outside wall, which meant he had to wait for the entire grid to pass before he could reverse back out and get back on the track. At this point, it was championship over for Liam, as Kelvin was in first, and Max was reasonably too far back to win this.
I really don't like this guy. Can I change teams?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm Team Liam now.
Alright, now, Kelvin no doubt had some form of damage, and Max was now hunting down Kelvin. However, when Max reached Kelvin, Kelvin was making some extremely dangerous maneuvers to either let them crash or keep them behind, but fortunately, or unfortunately, Kelvin punctured a tyre physically tangling with one of these many cars, and now was completely out of contention down with the likes of Liam.
Oh, so that means that Liam can still win?
At this point in the race, yes.
What do you mean by at this point?
Well, Max is still in it, but he would have to overtake these two cars in front of him to win.
Were they close? Was Max able to catch up?
Well, it wasn't in the end if he was able to catch, because they were all the same brand of car, Mercedes. The front two moved out of the way for Max so that their brand of car would win the championship.
You're joking. So they literally moved out of the way for this guy to come through and win, and everything happened in that season. Neither of their favourites won.
Yeah. Unsurprisingly, Red Bull said they were never coming back, and in turn, many angry fans like myself were disgusted by how DTM handled that, and said essentially that it was racing.
Jeez, that isn't good for the sport.
Not at all, but this also then affects other teams due to sponsors no longer seeing that opening of new fans because they all left as quick as they came. I did a little research, just race highlights alone on YouTube. The championship battle last year had around 100,000 views per race highlight video. This year, it's around just under 10,000. Massive, massive loss.
Oh my God, that's horrific.
Yeah, that is horrible, but they could have fixed it with appropriate actioning. But even still, there should have been rules in place that the drivers knew about before getting in that position.
All right, is this the news section time now?
Yep, do you want to kick us off?
I said I did some research, but I'm not this prepared.
Alright, so Tom, what was it like achieving your first pole position at Sanddown? And I guess, how did it make you feel knowing it's ultimately what every racer would dream of, knowing only 4 people have ever achieved a pole position in their first ever season?
It was a really epic feeling to snag the pole position at Sanddown. It's something we've been kind of working at away for the last little bit, last few rounds. So to finally everything to come together, and yeah, finally put it all together and get the pole was awesome.
That is pretty awesome. You can tell how much it really means, not only for him, but also everyone that's supported him in his career to this day. One thing I will say is that from what I do know about this development series, that often so much talent goes unnoticed or leads to nowhere. If only motorsports wasn't so expensive, we could see these young guys progress through to the big stage.
That is a very good point. We see this time and time again where cost is always the deciding factor. By reducing the cost of the vehicles, we not only would see more drivers come into the sport, but also the best of the best, due to young kids being able to get involved without having seriously funded careers. Anyway, that will be it for this week's pod.
What do we have for next week?
We will be definitely reviewing the Spa Grand Prix, and we'll also go into detail about how this historic circuit is currently in a position it may not be on the calendar next year.
Oh dear, that doesn't sound good.
Money talks.
That is it from us this week. See you next time. Bye.